Welcome to Tragedy and Interesting, where the stories are as captivating as they are compelling. From the depths of human experience to the heights of adventure, we explore the spectrum of emotion and intrigue. On October 28th, 2004, jumper Dave Shaw dove into the dim profundities of the Bushman sinkhole, also called Bushman's Opening. He left on this excursion with the objectives of breaking past plunging records. He chose to a profundity of 270 meters and was effective in breaking these four records: profundity on a rebreather, profundity in a cavern on a rebreather, profundity at elevation on a rebreather, and profundity running on a line. Shaw's plunge endured upwards of almost 10 hours. Started at 9 hours and 40 minutes, happy with his newly discovered honors shot. Me the choice to get back to the surface. However, not long before he started his rising, he spotted something that would change his life everlastingly. The carcass of Dion Dreyer, the Bushman sinkhole, is a characteristic sinkhole on the Mount Carmel Ranch previously found in 1977 by novice jumper Mike Rathborn. Its English interpretation and moniker is Bushman's Opening. The cavern is totally loaded up with new water accepted to be north of 3 million years of age, frequently shrouded in a green layer of duckweed. It has a profundity of around 283 meters, setting it as one of the most profound freshwater collapses the world. To enter the cavern, you should move down a precarious stone to the water surface. This entry is tight. However, you were unable to enlighten from the get-go. Concerning 20 meters from the surface, the cavern before long opens up into an unlimited fundamental chamber that stretches past what the eye can see. The cavern is totally dark, so dark that any kind of light you endeavor to utilize is gulped by the dimness. Dion Dreyer was a South African jumper who might casually participated in a minimal more than 200 makes a plunge his profession by 1994. A thrill seeker with a preference for connection. Dreyer was driven by the story jumpers before him, not set in stone to keep on establishing himself, when he was welcome to join a few jumpers from the South Africa cave, plunging affiliation SACTA, to investigate Bushman's Opening over special times of year. He was elated. They wanted to send around 150 meters, and the date was set in what must be portrayed as the universe's endeavor at a help from above. Dreyer's granddad spent away 14 days before he was set to jump. After the assistance, Dreyer was lounging around a pit fire with his family. Reflecting, Dreyer expressed what might ultimately turn into the characterizing proclamation for this young fellow's life. His dad. Theo reviews him, expressing that he said assuming he had a decision of how to go out in life, he might want to go out plunging on. December 17, 1994. Dreyer and his individual passed-on mates left on a training plunge inside Bushman's, Nuno Gomez, had collected a group and laid out conditions for a specialized profound jump. Booked for later on in the week, the whole group slid into the Noir water and investigated the region prior to reconvening and taking a head count. The main issue. Dion was gone. The group endlessly looked for him, yet in the end, had a revisitation of the surface to keep up with their own well-being. The 20-year-old Dion Dreyer was gone. The group has since all concurred that they accepted that Dion disappeared on his climb. At around 50 meters from the surface, the settled-upon agreement for his evaporating very likely needed to do with a deficiency of cognizance or hypercapnia brought about by the high work pace of breathing at that low of a profundity. Hypercapnia, for the people who don't know, is a hazardous overabundance of carbon monoxide in the human's circulation system. 14 days passed, and Dreyer was assumed dead. His dad Theo recruited a remotely worked submarine utilized by the DeBruce mining organization to attempt to aid the recuperation. While the submarine was down underneath, they tracked down a lot of nothing for a long while until at last it went over something they had not seen before it. Was Dreyer's jump protective cap on the C-note floor. His body, anyway, was all the while missing, which takes us back to October 28, 2004. 892 feet underneath superficial, David John Shaw was an Australian scuba jumper, specialized jumper, and carrier pilot for Cathay Pacific. A man of numerous gifts, Shaw wound up increasingly more attracted to profound plunging as he progressed in years. What he didn't expect on this jump was finding the scandalous Dion Dreyer. Shaw found his wetsuit an assortment of bones inside. He attempted to move the body, however it was implanted in the residue after a couple more endeavors. He understood that he, at the end of the day, needed more oxygen left to proceed with this. He got back to the surface perpetually different by what he saw. His old buddy Where Shirley says, "This Shaw almost turned into a man had." After this experience, he considered it even more. A mission too, really. His undertaking to bring this body back unquestionably expressed the two companions, got into contact with Dion Dreyer's folks, telling them of Shaw's revelation. Shaw made a guarantee to the Dreyers, promising that he planned to recover their child's body throughout the following 3 weeks. Shaw and Shirley started to design out the recuperation plan. They enrolled a group of prepared help jumpers to support the mission. Their positions were to plunge into the water in stretches, to keep an eye on Shaw at different profundities. While he came up, Shaw's arrangement was easy to send many individuals over the surface, find Dreyer's carcass loaded into a body sack, and return to the surface. What could turn out badly on January 8, 2005, Shaw, Shirley, and the remainder of the group showed up at the sinkhole. At around 6 a.m., as yet completely dark external in the freezing winter air, the group wear their stuff and ready for the mission. Shaw arranged in submerged camera to his individual to assist with reporting the occasions in just shy of 10 minutes. Shaw had slipped around 270 feet underneath the surface, migrating the carcass. He arranged the body tag and started to attempt to fit the cadaver inside. However, at that point, the carcass started to drift. This was because of Dreyer's carcass transforming into a lathery substance known as a dépossé fat. Here is a brittle, waxy, water-insoluble material comprising generally of immersed, unsaturated fats. Since Shaw had been working with 2 hands, he had to put his light down on the cavern floor. This light was associated with a weighty battery canister through a wire, which is regularly worn on the jumper's midsection. Normally, Shaw would have had the wire behind his neck. Yet, sadly, he didn't do so. When a jumper is in trouble, they will wave their light around to caution their dime allies that they need their assistance. So when Where Shirley slipped 14 minutes after Shaw's takeoff, he was hoping to see a light glimmering around to caution him of Shaw's directions. Yet as he swam endlessly further down, he just saw the bar from the light in a stale position. No development. Something was off base. Shirley burrowed past what he had at first expected around 800 feet underneath the surface level. As he kept on swimming further, he heard an uproarious break. His breathing contraption had been broken. Shirley realized all he needed to do was siphon in more oxygen to the gas blend. However, at that profundity, the oxygen would just put Shirley's life in danger. He realized that he needed to get back to the surface. Regardless of not knowing about Shaw's present status, he started to ascend to the surface, however dropped from a helium bubble in his ear. He started to rock all through cognizance, uncertain of what was up and what was down. Shirley was ultimately found by a help jumper, and he was taken back to the surface. The remainder of the group took care of his well-being, ensuring that he survived the ordeal. Yet the main thing, uncertainly, is mine. Where was Dave Shaw 3 days after the mission, the plunge? Group returned submerged to recover the lost hardware, and in doing so found Dion Dreyer, as well as Dave Shaw. While looking at Shaw's body, they accepted that the lines from the body pack became snared with the light, and Shaw's actual work to free himself prompted his passing. Shaw kicked the bucket, endeavoring to provide a sense of finality to a lamenting family who couldn't be sure whether they planned to see their youngster's cadaver again. Shaw and Dion Dreyer kicked the bucket, doing the very thing they love the most, and they rehash everything. Thank you for joining us on Tragedy and Interesting. If you found this video captivating, give it a thumbs up and share it with your fellow adventurers. For more tales that tug at the heartstrings and stir the imagination, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell.